Commander Jack Harlow watched the screen. Signals blinked out from Sector 17R. "Lieutenant, report," he commanded crisply. Next to him, Lieutenant Malik fine-tuned the controls, clarifying the image. "Signals are constant and match no known natural sources," Malik confirmed. Silence fell. They were clearly being watched. Jack faced the main screen, displaying space and Mars. Below, the moon's barren landscape highlighted their vulnerability. "Secure our data immediately. Keep this quiet until we know more," Jack ordered. Malik complied swiftly. Jack considered their situation. "We need a plan. We must uncover who is watching and why," he stated firmly. Commander Tyrese Holden, his second-in-command, suggested, "A probe might provoke them. Give us something to work with." Jack paused to think. "Prepare the probe, but don't launch it yet. We need more data." Holden nodded. The team worked in silence, aware of the potential consequences. Jack monitored the blinking signals, a sign of a possible new era for humanity. With high stakes, Jack readied for the next steps. As Earth's shadow crossed the moon, it echoed their growing unease, preparing them for whatever lay ahead. As Earth's shadow stretched across the lunar surface, Commander Jack Harlow watched intently, the quantum display's lights flickering in his eyes. He turned, sensing the subtle shift in the room's atmosphere as his crew awaited his next command. "Malik, update the high command immediately. Use the secure channel," Jack said, his voice low but filled with authority. Malik's fingers flew over the console, sending pulses of encrypted data back to Earth. On the main screen, the vastness of space stretched endlessly, a silent expanse that now seemed full of hidden threats. The weight of the cold, stark view settled in Jack's stomach, a stark reminder of their isolation. Jack's second-in-command, Commander Tyrese Holden, approached with an electronic tablet in hand. "We've compiled potential origins of the signals, each theory more unsettling than the last." Jack took the tablet, his eyes scanning the complex diagrams and encrypted data. "Any patterns we can exploit? Any weakness?" "Not yet," Tyrese replied, his voice tinged with frustration. "But there's a regularity in the signal intervals, every 3 hours, like clockwork." The metallic taste of the station's recycled air was thick in Jack's mouth as he pondered their next move. His hand grazed the cold, smooth surface of the console, a stark contrast to the warmth of his fleeting hope for a simple solution. "Keep monitoring those intervals. Any change, I want to know immediately," Jack ordered, handing back the tablet. He walked to the observation deck, the stars outside the large window seeming to flicker with untold secrets. The silence of space was oppressive, filled only by the soft clicks of the station's operational systems and the distant, muffled conversations of his crew. Jack's gaze fell upon the moon's horizon where Earth rose, a vibrant mosaic of blues and greens against the black. He felt the rough fabric of his uniform against his skin, the constant, gentle pressure reminding him of the gravity of their situation. "We need a proactive approach," Jack muttered to himself, tasting the bitterness of coffee left too long on his tongue. Just then, a soft alert chimed. Jack spun, his boots thudding against the metal floor as he returned to the command center. Malik pointed at the screen with a grim face. "Sir, there's a slight variation in the pattern. The signals have accelerated," Malik reported, his voice steady, despite the concern in his eyes. Jack's heart raced, a surge of adrenaline warming his blood as he stepped closer to the holographic display. "This could be what we've been waiting for. Prepare to trace the next signal back to its source. It's time we learned exactly who's watching us." As the crew rallied to his command, Jack felt the crisp, recycled air fill his lungs with each breath. His resolve hardened, and with each blink, the reflected light from the screens painted his vision with fragments of data, a puzzle he was determined to solve. With the galaxy's eerie quiet pressing in around him, Jack knew the true challenge was just beginning. He was ready to pierce the silence, to uncover the watchers hidden in the shadowed depths of space. As the signals intensified, Commander Jack Harlow stood firm in the command center, his gaze locked on the holographic display. The crew around him moved like shadows against the stark, utilitarian metal of the lunar station, each absorbed in their tasks under the glow of screens that cast an artificial twilight across their faces. Trace established, Malik announced, breaking the concentrated silence. His voice was a beacon, directing Jack's attention to the new data blooming on the screen like a frost pattern on a window. "Show me," Jack commanded, his voice a controlled burst of energy that spurred Malik into action. The lieutenant manipulated the controls, and a three-dimensional map of the solar system materialized in the air. Points of light danced across it, tracing the origin of the signals back to an area previously believed to be devoid of any celestial bodies. "It's coming from the void beyond the asteroid belt," Tyrese added, his tone imbued with a mix of awe and unease. The room's temperature seemed to drop with his words, a chill that wasn't from the air conditioning but from the creeping realization of their vulnerability. Jack's hand hovered over the map, his finger tracing the invisible lines that connected Earth to this mysterious watcher. "They've been hiding in the shadows, watching, waiting. For what, I wonder?" "Perhaps we're not the hunters but the hunted," Malik suggested, his words hanging in the air like a mist. Jack tasted the metallic tang of fear in his mouth but swallowed it back with a practiced stoicism. "Not if I have anything to say about it," he declared, his resolve as hard as the steel walls that enclosed them. He turned to face his team, their faces illuminated by the data streams that flickered in sync with their rapidly typing fingers. "I want options, people. Defensive measures, offensive capabilities, anything and everything on the table." As the team set to work, Jack paced the length of the command center, his steps silent on the padded floor. The scent of coffee drifted from the corner of the room, a stark contrast to the sterile air that filled the station. It was a small comfort, a reminder of Earth and what they were fighting to protect. "Commander, we might consider deploying the stealth drones for a closer look. They're equipped with the latest cloaking tech and sensors," Tyrese proposed, tapping on his tablet to bring up the specs. Jack stopped, considering the holographic display of the drone fleet. "Do it. Launch as soon as they're ready. I want eyes on whatever's out there." As the preparations for the drone launch unfolded, Jack felt the weight of command heavy on his shoulders. The soft whir of machines and the distant clatter of keyboards were a symphony of urgency, propelling them forward into the unknown. Outside the thick glass of the station, the cosmos sprawled vast and indifferent. The stars twinkled, not out of beauty, but as cold, distant witnesses to the struggles of lesser beings tethered to their planets and their moons. With every breath of recycled air, Jack steeled himself against the darkness both outside and within. Whatever secrets the void held, he was ready to face them, to defend the pale blue dot that was humanity's cradle and fortress. The silent void would soon echo with the determination of Earth's finest. As the stealth drones vanished into the void, leaving no trace against the canvas of stars, Commander Jack Harlow watched their trajectories from the monitors, a silent testament to human ingenuity and suspicion. The room around him buzzed with low conversations and the occasional click of a keyboard, sounds that seemed too mundane given the gravity of their mission. "Drones are on course, Commander. ETA to the target zone is 15 minutes, Malik reported, his voice slicing through the murk of anticipation that filled the command center. Jack nodded, his gaze never wavering from the screen where tiny blips represented their eyes in the dark. "Keep me updated on their progress. Any anomaly, no matter how small, I want to know immediately." As he turned away from the monitors, the scent of recycled air mingled with the faint aroma of synthetic lemon cleaner used on the console surfaces. It was a stark reminder of the unnatural environment they inhabited, a bubble of Earth floating in the emptiness of space. He made his way to the small viewport, a rectangle of transparency that offered a view of the lunar landscape sprawling beneath them. The surface, pockmarked and silent, bore witness to the celestial ballet of Earth and her moon, a dance of light and shadows. Jack's reflection stared back at him from the glass, a ghost overlaid on the stark moonscape. His eyes were the same color as the Earth far below, a deep blue that seemed to hold the oceans within them. It struck him then. The isolation wasn't just external. It crept inside you, coloring thoughts and tightening the chest with a visceral sense of solitude. "Commander, telemetry from Drone Alpha shows a slight deviation from projected path. It appears to be adjusting for an unexpected gravitational pull, Tyrese's voice called out, pulling Jack back from his reverie. Jack returned to the monitors, his footsteps silent on the padded floor. "Show me the readings," he demanded, his voice a thread of steel woven through the fabric of urgency that enveloped the room. On the screen, a series of data points flowed across a digital representation of space where invisible forces tugged at the drone. "Looks like we've stumbled upon something massive hidden in the void," Malik murmured, his face illuminated by the soft glow of the display. Jack's jaw tightened. "Can we get visual confirmation?" "We're adjusting the drone's sensors to compensate for the interference. We should have visual in moments," Malik responded, his fingers deftly navigating the controls. The room dimmed momentarily as the main screen switched to a live feed from Drone Alpha. The black of space unfolded before them, deeper and more absolute than any darkness found on Earth. Then, as they watched, stars seemed to warp, bending around an unseen mass. A cloaked object, massive enough to warp light. "That's our watcher," Jack whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. His voice barely rose above the sound of his crew's measured breathing, a soft chorus in the cramped quarters of the command center. The implications were profound, the discovery monumental. They were not merely being observed, they were being studied by an intelligence capable of hiding in plain sight, manipulating gravity and light. Jack turned to face his crew, their faces a mosaic of curiosity and concern. "Prepare for a full-scale investigation. We're not just going to watch the watchers. We're going to uncover them," he declared, the resolve in his voice echoing off the metal walls, promising action amidst the shadows of uncertainty. As the cloaked mass revealed its form through the warped light, Jack Harlow's resolve deepened. The visual feed from Drone Alpha flickered on the main screen, unveiling more than just the anomaly. It showed a labyrinth of geometric structures, a hidden fortress in the void. "Adjust the drone's angle. I want a closer look at those structures," Jack commanded, his voice crisp in the charged atmosphere of the command center. Malik adjusted the controls, and the drone's camera obeyed, swiveling to capture the high-resolution images of the alien construct. The crew around Jack leaned closer to the screens, their breaths held in a collective pause as the structures came into clearer view. The designs were unlike anything human. They pulsed with an eerie, iridescent glow, the colors shifting subtly with a life of their own. "Looks like technology far beyond our current understanding," Tyrese muttered under his breath, fascinated yet wary of the implications. Jack felt the cold air of the room seep through his uniform, chilling him with the realization of their discovery. "This isn't just surveillance. This could be a forward operating base," he speculated, turning to gauge his team's reactions. The faint sound of the station's life support systems in the background was a stark contrast to the silent majesty of the structure displayed before them. Each member of the team was absorbed in thought, the possibilities of their situation unraveling before them in complex, silent threads. "Could they be planning an invasion?" Malik asked, breaking the silence with the question that was undoubtedly on everyone's mind. Jack considered this, his eyes not leaving the screen. "Possibly, or it could be a test, a way to gauge our detection capabilities and responses," he suggested, each word weighed with the gravity of their precarious position. "Sir, I recommend we prepare a contingency plan. We might need to take defensive action sooner than we thought," Tyrese added, his tone steady but tinged with urgency. Jack nodded, his decision clear. "Agree. Tyrese, start preparations for a defensive protocol. Malik, keep monitoring the structure and any changes in its activity. We need all the data we can get." As Malik and Tyrese set to work, Jack stood motionless, watching the alien structure. The scent of stale coffee lingered in the air, mingling with the metallic tang of the station's interior, grounding him back to the reality of their metallic, confined world. Outside, the void of space stretched endlessly, a dark canvas behind the glowing entity that now seemed both fascinating and ominous. Jack felt the rough texture of the console under his fingertips, a reminder of the tangible and immediate, contrasting sharply with the unknown entity lurking in the depths of space. "We're not just defending Earth anymore. We're defending human existence," Jack said quietly to himself, more a vow than a statement. As the drone continued to relay images, each one brought them closer to understanding the magnitude of what watched them from the shadows. This revelation didn't just stir the mystery further. It promised a confrontation that Jack and his team would have to face, ready or not. The enigmatic fortress in the void was a chess piece in a game they were only beginning to understand. As the enigmatic fortress in the void loomed larger on the screen, Jack Harlow's mind raced with tactical calculations. The drone's continuous stream of images provided a clearer view, revealing intricate patterns and structures that hinted at a complex and advanced alien intelligence. "Tyrese, status on the defensive protocols?" Jack asked, his voice firm, cutting through the low buzz of focused activity in the command center. "We've put all lunar defense systems on high alert, and I've coordinated with Earth's Global Defense Command. We're ready to enact defensive measures at a moment's notice," Tyrese reported, his voice steady, despite the underlying tension. Jack nodded, his eyes never leaving the main screen where the alien architecture glowed with a subtle luminance. The air in the command center was thick with anticipation, each breath tasting slightly metallic, recycled too many times through the station's life support systems. Suddenly, the drone's feed stuttered, a flicker that sent a ripple of unease through the room. Malik quickly adjusted the settings, but it was clear something external was interfering with the signal. "They know we're watching," Malik said, his tone a mixture of awe and apprehension. "The structure has started emitting some sort of interference pattern. It's sophisticated, beyond anything we've encountered." The crisp click of Jack's boots echoed as he approached the main console. He leaned forward, scrutinizing the data overlays that Malik had pulled up. "Can we bypass the interference? I need visuals." Malik's fingers flew over the console, the soft tapping a counterpoint to the tension in the room. "Trying a different frequency now." "There," he said as the image stabilized, revealing more details of the alien structure. The command center crew leaned in, the scent of nervous perspiration mingling with the ever-present tang of electronics. The structure was not merely architectural, it was functional, pulsating with energy at intervals that seemed almost communicative. "Whatever this is, it's not just a base, it could be a beacon," Jack mused aloud, the possibility adding a new layer to their strategy. Tyrese absorbed the information, his brow furrowed. "If it's a beacon, we might be dealing with a signal meant to summon others. Or worse, it's a prelude to an invasion." Jack felt the weight of the moment, the silence of the void outside mirroring the heavy stillness in the room. "Prepare to deploy the countermeasures. We need to shield our activities, make it harder for them to monitor us." As Malik set up the necessary protocols for the countermeasures, the subtle whine of the station's systems seemed to grow louder, a reminder of the isolation of their outpost on the moon. Outside, the stars stared down impassively, the vastness of space a cold witness to the unfolding drama. Jack stood firm, his resolve steeling him against the uncertainty. "Keep monitoring and adjusting the frequency as needed. I want continuous updates. Whatever happens, we stay one step ahead." The team nodded, their determination firm despite the daunting scenario. As the alien structure's glow intensified on the screen, it was clear that the next moves they made could very well determine humanity's fate. The fortress in the void wasn't just a discovery, it was a challenge to their very survival, and Jack was ready to meet it head-on. The countermeasures deployed smoothly, cloaking the lunar base's emissions and blurring its digital footprint in the cosmic vastness. Commander Jack Harlow watched the screens flicker momentarily under the new protocol, a ripple through their electronic lifeline to the world. "Effectiveness at 76% and improving as systems adjust," Malik reported, his voice a calm undertone against the backdrop of soft bleeps from the consoles. "It should make us a ghost to their sensors." Jack's eyes narrowed slightly, focusing on the main display where the alien structure's emissions had intensified, their glow casting an eerie radiance that seemed almost aware. "And the first contact protocols?" he queried, turning towards Tyrese, who was coordinating with Earth's defense network. "Ready to initiate on your command. The communication package is non-aggressive, coded in mathematical patterns universal enough to be understood as a peaceful gesture," Tyrese responded, his fingers poised over the console ready to launch their digital olive branch. The air felt charged, each molecule in the command center seemingly aligned with their tense anticipation. The faint scent of ionization from the electronics filled the space, a byproduct of the high-energy operations now routine on the base. Outside, the lunar surface lay bathed in earthshine, a serene and unchanged witness to human endeavors, contrasting starkly with the tension inside. Jack took a deep breath, the filtered air cold and dry in his lungs. "Send it," he finally decided, nodding to Tyrese. The command was executed with a subtle click, the transmission sent hurtling through the void towards the mysterious structure. Now they waited. Silence enveloped the room, the weight of their action palpable as each crew member seemed to hold their breath, waiting for a response. The wait was tactile, filled with the soft whir of station systems and the distant occasional clank of machinery adjusting somewhere in the bowels of the base. Minutes stretched like hours until the display signaled an incoming transmission. The structure was responding. "Getting something back?" Malik murmured, adjusting the frequency to clear up the incoming message. The screen displayed a series of abstract patterns, pulsating and shifting in complex sequences. It was communication, undoubtedly, but deciphering it was another matter. Jack stepped closer, his presence commanding and focused. "Tyrese, thoughts?" "It's structured, deliberate. Might take some time to decode, but there's intelligence behind it. They're trying to talk," Tyrese surmised, his gaze fixed on the shifting patterns. Jack felt a mixture of triumph and trepidation. They had made contact, but the road ahead was veiled in uncertainty. "Keep on it. I want updates every 10 minutes. Malik, ensure our cloaking is holding steady." As the team resumed their tasks, Jack allowed himself a brief look out the viewport. The stark, silent moon offered no counsel, reflecting sunlight with indifferent clarity. Whatever answers they sought now lay not in human experience but in interpreting the intentions of an unknown cosmic neighbor. This dance of discovery and danger continued, with each step forward shadowed by the immense unknown stretching out before them. Jack knew that this was but the opening gambit in a much larger game, the rules of which they were only beginning to comprehend. As the alien transmission patterns shimmered across the screen, their cryptic dance of lights and shadows seemed almost mocking in its complexity. Commander Jack Harlow watched intently, the flickering symbols casting strange reflections in his eyes as he tried to pierce the mystery laid out before them. "Any progress on the decoding, Tyrese?" Jack asked, his voice echoing slightly in the tense atmosphere of the command center. "We're starting to see repetitions and patterns that suggest a language, but it's slow going. It's like nothing we've ever seen," Tyrese replied, his focus never wavering from the screens as he adjusted parameters to isolate elements of the code. The air in the command center was thick with the scent of electronic burn, a sharp, tangy reminder of the powerful machinery at work. The taste of stale coffee lingered on Jack's tongue, a mundane contrast to the extraordinary situation unfolding before them. "Keep at it. Every piece we decode could be the key to understanding their intentions," Jack encouraged, his gaze drifting towards the window where the cold, barren lunar landscape provided a silent backdrop to their digital conundrum. Malik, who had been quietly monitoring the station's defenses, suddenly stiffened. "Commander, the structure, it's changing shape. It looks like it's unfolding." Jack turned sharply to view the feed from the external cameras. On the screen, the once static alien fortress was transforming, its parts moving with mechanical fluidity, revealing new geometries and emitting pulses of light that painted the surrounding space with eerie colors. "What in the world?" Jack murmured under his breath, captivated and chilled by the display. "Could this be a response to our message?" Malik speculated, his voice a mix of wonder and worry. "Or it's preparing something. Defensive or offensive, we can't tell yet," Tyrese added, his hand hovering over the console, ready to initiate further defensive measures if needed. The change in the alien structure added a new layer of urgency to their efforts. Jack felt the texture of the command console under his palms, the smooth, cool surface grounding him as he considered their next move. "Malik, enhance surveillance on that structure. Any minor change, "I want it flagged," Jack instructed, his tone commanding yet calm. As the team worked, the sounds of their activity, the soft clicking of keys, the quiet murmur of whispered consultations, filled the command center, each noise underscored by the silent vastness outside that watched through the thick glass of the windows. Jack stepped back, allowing his team the space to work, while his mind raced through scenarios. Each flicker of light from the alien structure, each shift in its metallic limbs, could be a prelude to something unimaginable. The mystery of the alien intentions hung over them, like the star-studded blackness enveloping the moon. Jack knew they were on the brink of something profound, standing at the edge of a precipice that looked out over a landscape shrouded in shadows and dotted with the lights of unknown possibilities. As he watched the alien structure continue to unfold, its movements precise and deliberate, Jack realized they were not just decoding a message. They were witnessing the first stirrings of what could either be a bridge or a barricade in their celestial neighborhood. The unfolding structure in the void continued to reveal new complexities, its segments shifting with a rhythmic precision that was almost hypnotic. Commander Jack Harlow watched, transfixed yet analytical, as the metallic surfaces caught the dim light of distant stars, casting angular shadows that danced across the command center's walls. "Commander, the structure. It's starting to emit a new form of energy. It's not just light. It's some kind of radiation we haven't cataloged before," Malik announced, his voice edged with both excitement and caution. "Is it harmful?" Jack asked sharply, his concern palpable in the cramped, buzzing atmosphere of the room. "Not to us, not from this distance. But it's powerful. It could be a communication method or something else," Malik replied, adjusting the sensors to better analyze the emissions. The taste of apprehension was sharp in Jack's mouth, like the aftertaste of too strong coffee. He turned to Tyrese, who had been quietly conferring with the communications team. "Anything from our linguists on those patterns we received?" "They've made some progress. It seems to be a foundational language, built on mathematics. They're starting to translate basic segments, but it's like reading a book where half the pages are missing," Tyrese explained, his brow furrowed in frustration. Jack nodded, his gaze returning to the screen. The structure's movements were deliberate, each phase of its transformation meticulously orchestrated. "Keep pushing on the translation. Anything could help us understand their motives." Outside, the cold emptiness of space seemed to press against the lunar base, the silence of the vacuum a stark reminder of their isolation. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of overheating electronics and human determination, a tangible tension that seemed to fill every corner of the room. As they watched, the structure completed its transformation, stabilizing into a configuration that was undeniably purposeful. It was no longer just an observation post. It had become something else, something new and unfathomable. "Commander, look at this," Malik called out, gesturing to a new set of readings on his screen. "The energy it's emitting, it's forming a pattern. It looks like it's directed not just at us, but at several points across the solar system." Jack's heart rate quickened. "A network? Are they signaling others or activating something?" "We need more data to be sure, but it's clear. We're not the only target or the only audience for whatever this is," Malik responded, his voice a mix of awe and dread. Jack felt the floor's cool, unyielding surface beneath his boots, grounding him as he made his decision. "Prepare a probe. We need to get closer. If they're setting up a network, we need to know how far it reaches and why." The crew sprang into action, the flurry of activity a contrast to the stillness outside. Each command, each movement was part of a larger dance of cause and effect, as they navigated the delicate line between discovery and danger. As the probe was prepped, Jack allowed himself a brief glance at the Earth shining in the distance, a blue jewel hanging in the black sea of space. Whatever the outcome, the decisions made here, on this silent lunar outpost, would echo across the void, shaping the future in ways they could only begin to imagine. As the probe launched silently into the void, its trajectory marked by a faint bluish glow against the stark blackness, Commander Jack Harlow monitored its progress intently. The anticipation in the command center was palpable, each member of his crew poised for any indication of what the alien structure's network might reveal. "Visuals coming online now, Commander," Malik announced, adjusting the feed to the main display. The screen flickered to life, showing the probe's high-resolution camera capturing the vastness of space and the intricate details of the alien structure now pulsating with an unexplained energy. "Keep an eye on those emissions," Jack instructed, his gaze fixed on the structure's luminous patterns. The air around him was filled with the scent of recycled oxygen, tinged with a hint of metal from the station's inner workings, a constant reminder of their artificial environment. The feed from the probe provided a closer look at the structure, revealing layers and components that had been invisible from their distant observation point. The surface of the structure was smooth, almost mirror-like, reflecting the starlight and distorting it with its energy emissions, which shimmered like heat above a desert road. "It's not just broadcasting energy, it's receiving responses," Tyrese noted, pointing to a series of blips appearing on a secondary monitor. "See here? These are coming in from various points across the system. It's a two-way communication." Jack felt a chill despite the controlled climate of the command center. Could it be coordinating with other bases or entities? If so, the scope of this? It's beyond anything we've prepared for. The crew was silent, each member processing the implications. The soft murmur of the station's life support systems and the occasional click of a keyboard were the only sounds that filled the heavy silence. Suddenly the probe's feed stammered, the image distorting as if struggling to maintain its integrity. "We're being jammed!" Malik exclaimed, his fingers flying over the control panel trying to stabilize the connection. "Switch to auxiliary frequencies now," Jack commanded, his voice cutting sharply through the tension. Malik complied, and after a tense few moments the feed cleared, revealing a startling scene. The structure had begun to open, unfurling like a metallic flower greeting the sun, exposing a core that glowed with a pulsating light. Around it, space seemed to warp subtly, the star's light bending in eerie arcs around the structure. "Recording all of this, every bit," Malik said, ensuring that even if the probe was lost, they would retain the data. Jack stood transfixed by the display, the tangy taste of fear mingled with determination on his tongue. "This changes everything. Whatever they're planning, it's starting now. We need a full analysis of every response received and any potential targets within our system." As the crew set to work, Jack's mind raced with strategies and contingencies. The alien network, whatever its purpose, had begun to activate, and they were the first to witness it. Every decision from here on out could either be a step towards understanding and possibly coexistence, or a misstep into conflict. Outside, the cold expanse of space offered no comfort, only a silent arena for the unfolding drama that might determine the fate of humanity. Jack knew the weight of their next actions would be felt far beyond the walls of their lunar base. As the alien structure's core continued to pulsate with a strange, rhythmic light, Commander Jack Harlow felt the tension thicken in the command center. His crew's eyes were glued to the screens, tracking every minuscule change in the alien broadcasts and their responses crisscrossing the solar system. "We've got multiple new signals responding to the structure, Commander. They're not just passive. They're active, engaging with it," Tyrese reported, his voice a controlled, low rumble amid the quiet buzz of activity. "Pinpoint their origins. I want to know if we're dealing with isolated nodes or a widespread network," Jack directed, the crispness in his tone mirroring the urgency of the situation. His senses were on high alert. The tang of electronic circuitry filled the air, a subtle reminder of their reliance on technology to peel back the layers of this cosmic enigma. Malik adjusted the sensors, enhancing the resolution on the main display. "Here, and here," he pointed at the screen, where clusters of light indicated other structures awakening across the galaxy. "It looks like a coordinated activation. Whatever it is, it's massive." The revelation hung heavily in the room, like the distant echo of thunder signaling an approaching storm. Jack paced a short distance, feeling the slight give of the command center's floor under his boots. His gaze returned to the screen, watching as the structure now fully opened, revealing not only its intricate inner workings but also its purpose. This isn't just a communication hub. It might be a portal of some kind, Malik suggested, squinting at the data streaming live. The energy patterns are consistent with wormhole theories, though on a scale it's unprecedented. Jack absorbed this new information, the weight of each possibility pressing down like the cold void outside their station. Prepare all data for transmission to Earth Command. They need to see this immediately. We might be on the brink of a major breakthrough, or a significant threat. As the crew compiled the data, Jack stood by the viewport, staring out into the blackness speckled with uncountable stars. The view was both breathtaking and terrifying, a canvas of infinite possibilities, each star potentially a witness to their current predicament. The silence of the room was palpable, filled only by the soft shuffling of feet and the occasional subdued murmur. Each team member was acutely aware that their findings could alter the course of human history. "Transmission ready to send, Commander," Tyrese said, his finger hovering over the console, waiting for Jack's nod. "Send it," Jack confirmed with a nod, turning back from the viewport to face his team. His expression was stern but carried a hint of resolve. "Whatever comes next, we face it together. Stay sharp and keep monitoring for any changes." As the data streamed towards Earth, spreading out across the void like ripples on a cosmic pond, Jack felt a rare moment of quiet introspection amidst the storm of activity. The scent of coffee drifted from the corner, a lifeline to normalcy in their extraordinary circumstances. Outside, the structure continued its silent, brilliant display, a beacon in the dark, its secrets slowly unfolding. Jack knew that whatever answers they were about to uncover, the path they were on would test them all to their limits. The mystery was deepening, and with each passing moment, the anticipation of what lay ahead grew more profound. As the data streamed earthward, the command center's atmosphere thickened with anticipation. Commander Jack Harlow watched the distant lights flicker on the vast display, each pinpoint a potential harbinger of change. The alien structure, now revealed as a portal, continued its subtle, mesmerizing dance of lights, drawing the eyes and thoughts of every crew member. "Commander, Earth Command has acknowledged receipt. They're convening an emergency session with the Global Defense Council," Tyrese reported, his voice breaking through the silent tension. "They want us to maintain surveillance and prepare for any contingencies." Jack nodded, his gaze still fixed on the visual feed. "Keep the channel open. Any updates, I want them relayed immediately," he commanded, the taste of responsibility bitter on his tongue as he spoke. Around him the air carried a sterile chill, filtered and refiltered, yet somehow it seemed to grow thinner with each breath he took. Malik adjusted the sensors, enhancing the live feed from the structure. The portal now shimmered with a more intense light, its edges blurring and sharpening intermittently as if breathing. "There's an increase in the energy output. It's fluctuating more rapidly now," he observed, his fingers gliding over the controls with practiced ease. The display updated, curves and spikes of data charting the alien energy in real time. The room filled with the soft whir of computers processing this information, juxtaposed with the nearly imperceptible creak of the station settling under its own weight. "Could it be reacting to our surveillance?" Jack mused aloud, turning to face his crew. His question hung in the air, mingling with the faint, almost sweet odor of overheating plastic. "It's possible," Tyrese replied, his brow furrowed in thought. "Or it could be preparing to open." Jack considered this, the possibilities churning in his mind like the distant stars wheeling in the void outside. "Initiate a broader scan. I want to know what's on the other side of that portal. If something is coming through, we need a lead on it." As Malik set to work, the subtle buzz of the command center seemed to pulse in rhythm with the portal's fluctuating energies. The visuals on the screen painted a scene both beautiful and ominous, a gateway to unknown realms that might soon spill their secrets into their lap. "Commander, we have movement." "Something's approaching the portal from the other side," Malik suddenly called out, tension cracking his usual calm. The crew gathered around the monitors, watching as shadows began to form within the luminous archway of the portal. The shapes were indistinct, shimmering with the same pulsating light as the portal itself. Jack's heart raced, his senses heightened to the charged atmosphere of the room and the cold, hard reality of the potential dangers they faced. "Record everything. I want full analysis ready for whatever comes through that portal. We need to be prepared for all possibilities." The mystery of the portal deepened, drawing them inexorably into its luminous embrace. Each moment brought new data, new fears, and new wonders. As Jack watched the shadows dance within the alien light, he knew they were on the cusp of a discovery that could either bridge galaxies or bring calamity to their doorstep. Whatever lay ahead, the path they trod was fraught with shadows and light, and every step was a venture into the profound unknown. As the shadows within the portal gained definition, morphing into distinct silhouettes, Commander Jack Harlow realized they were on the brink of a momentous event. The air in the command center grew thick with anticipation, every crew member's attention riveted on the screens displaying the unfolding mystery. "Tyrese, initiate a tiered response strategy. Start with surveillance, escalate to defensive positioning. I want everything ready to deploy at a moment's notice," Jack commanded, his voice firm and clear, cutting through the heightened buzz of activity. "Yes, sir. Activating all surveillance drones to maximum operational range. Defense systems on standby," Tyrese responded, his fingers deftly moving across his console, setting the station's resources into a structured response pattern. On the screen, the silhouettes solidified into forms that were unmistakably artificial. Structures, perhaps vessels, that were sleek and radiated a subtle glow. They moved with purpose, aligned in formation as they approached the portal's threshold. "Malik, enhance the imaging. Let's see what we're dealing with," Jack said, moving closer to the main monitor. The image sharpened, revealing the intricate designs of the approaching entities, their surfaces smooth and reflecting starlight in patterns that suggested their construction was both advanced and alien. The command center was filled with the soft click of keyboards and the low, constant drone of the station's life systems, a backdrop to the historic visuals they were witnessing. The scent of recycled air mixed with a faint electrical charge, evidence of the station's strained systems working overtime. Structures appear to be unmanned, no life signs detected. They seem to be scout vessels, possibly probes, Malek reported, analyzing the data streams feeding into his console. Jack processed this information, his mind racing through scenarios. "Prepare the EMP cannons, non-lethal, but it'll cripple their systems if they show any sign of hostility. We need to show strength but not provoke a conflict." "EMP cannons prepped, awaiting your command to charge," Tyrese confirmed, monitoring the energy signatures of the approaching vessels. Jack turned briefly to look out the viewport, where the infinite expanse of space stretched out, a silent witness to their precarious dance with the unknown. He felt the cool glass against his hand, a reminder of the fragile barrier between them and the void. Turning back to his crew, he addressed them with a steady, commanding tone. "We are here to protect Earth and understand these beings, not start a war. But we will defend ourselves if necessary. Stay sharp, follow the protocols." As the alien vessels slid silently through the portal entering their system, the command center was a nexus of controlled readiness. Every screen flickered with data, every crew member attuned to the unfolding situation, their senses heightened by the significance of every passing second. "Contact in 3, 2, 1, Malik counted down, his voice a soft echo in the charged atmosphere. The alien vessels emerged completely, hovering near the portal, their intentions yet unclear. Jack watched, prepared to make decisions that could either bridge galaxies or defend their own. The strategic planning, layered and meticulous, had positioned them to respond with precision, a chess game against a cosmic opponent, where every move was critical. As the alien vessels hovered motionlessly just beyond the portal, the tension in the Lunar Command Center escalated palpably. Commander Jack Harlow's gaze was fixed on the main screen, where the crisp, cold imagery of the foreign structures filled the room with a surreal light. "Initiate a passive scan. I want every piece of data we can gather about their technology," Jack instructed Malik, who nodded and immediately set to work. His fingers moved rapidly across the console, pulling up spectral analyzers and frequency scanners to probe the silent envoys that had emerged from the mysterious portal. The air in the command center was thick, laced with a faint metallic tang from the electronic equipment working overtime. The subtle scent of coffee lingered, a reminder of the earthly normalcy they all longed for amid the cosmic confrontation. Tyrese monitored the defense systems, ready to act on Jack's command. "EMP cannons are charged, sir. We can disable their systems on your mark." "Not yet," Jack replied, his voice steady, reflecting the gravity of their situation. "Let's see what their next move is." On the screen, the alien vessels began to emit a series of low-frequency pulses that were not audible, but visible through the instrumentation. The patterns were complex, weaving through the spectrum in a display that suggested communication rather than aggression. "Recording all transmissions, attempting to decode," Malik announced, his concentration palpable as he adjusted the equipment to better capture the nuanced signals. The crew stood in silent vigilance, watching the data streams flow across their screens, each line and curve potentially holding the key to understanding the visitor's intentions. The coolness of the room contrasted sharply with the warmth of the bodies gathered, each member cloaked in a layer of apprehensive sweat despite the climate control. Suddenly, the alien vessels shifted, aligning themselves in a new configuration that formed a geometric pattern. The movement was graceful, almost balletic, hinting at a sophisticated level of control and purpose. "They're forming a grid. Looks like some type of scanning array?" Tyrese speculated, his voice tinged with intrigue. Jack pondered the implications. "They could be mapping the system, or maybe it's a defensive formation. Keep the EMP on standby, but hold fire. I want to understand their technology, not destroy it." As the minutes ticked by, the alien grid stabilized, and a new pulse sequence began. This time, the energy signature was different, more refined and directed, not towards Earth or the Moon, but outwards, towards the deeper parts of the solar system. "They're not just communicating with us, they're signaling someone or something else," Malik said, a note of awe in his voice at the realization of their situation's complexity. Jack's decision-making was now more crucial than ever. "Prepare a communication probe. If we can mimic their signal pattern, maybe we can initiate a dialogue," he decided, turning to Tyrese to coordinate the technical requirements. The strategy was set, a blend of caution and curiosity guiding their actions. As the alien signals continued to weave through space, the team on the lunar base worked with a focused urgency, their senses sharpened by the profound implications of their interstellar encounter. This was not just a moment of contact, it was a delicate dance of cosmic diplomacy, played out in the silent theater of the void. As the communication probe launched into the void, trailing a faint streak of light like a comet tail, Commander Jack Harlow watched intently, a mix of hope and apprehension coursing through him. The command center was awash in the ghostly blue glow of screens, reflecting off every surface and casting sharp shadows that seemed to pulse with the station's heartbeat. "Probe is on course. Signal mimicry is stable," Malik reported, his voice echoing slightly in the tense silence of the room. His fingers danced across the console, fine-tuning the probe's trajectory and transmission. Jack nodded, feeling the weight of the moment settle upon him like the dust of uncharted moons. "This is it. Let's see if we can make history," he said, his voice a firm command that filled the space with determined energy. The team watched as the probe approached the alien grid, its signal broadcasting the replicated patterns they had deciphered. The grid responded, its lights pulsating more rapidly, forming a complex sequence that seemed almost like a greeting. "Transmission received and acknowledged. They're responding to our probe," Tyrese exclaimed, his words sparking a surge of exhilaration throughout the crew. On the screen, the alien vessels adjusted their formation, aligning themselves into what appeared to be a less defensive posture. The energy pulses they emitted softened, morphing into a steady glow that bathed the void in a peaceful light. Jack's heart raced as he processed the unfolding events. They understand. They're not here to conquer. They're here to communicate. "To connect," he said, turning to face his crew, a smile breaking through the gravity of his command. Malik nodded, his eyes wide with the realization of their success. "It's a dialogue, Commander. Not just signals, but a true exchange. We've reached across the void and touched another mind." The command center was alive with a quiet buzz of activity, and soft murmurs of disbelief turned into awe. The stark coldness of space seemed less oppressive, as if the warmth of potential friendship had seeped through the station's walls. Jack stepped closer to the main screen, watching as the alien signals continued to engage with their probe. "Prepare to broaden the communication. Let's establish a protocol. If we're going to talk to them, let's make sure we understand each other perfectly," he instructed, his voice resonant with the thrill of new frontiers being forged. As the preparations were made, Jack allowed himself a moment to look out the viewport at the Earth, hanging like a blue marble in the black sea of space. Humanity had not gone silent out of fear, but out of a bold determination to stand sovereign yet open to the stars. "Today we didn't just avoid a conflict. We may have opened a door to a new era of cooperation," Jack said, his voice reflective, tinged with pride. "Earth goes silent, and the galaxy listens to us not in fear, but in recognition." The team paused, allowing the weight of their achievement to sink in. They had not only detected and decoded an alien presence, but had initiated contact that promised a mutual understanding, a testament to human ingenuity and the unyielding spirit of exploration. As the final preparations for extended communication were set, the command center did not just buzz with technical activity, but with a sense of a greater purpose, a bridge being built across the cosmos, underlining humanity's place not just on Earth, but among the stars. As the new dawn broke over the lunar horizon, Commander Jack Harlow stood before the expansive viewport, watching Earth rise amidst the tranquil void. The communications with the alien network had progressed overnight, evolving from cautious exchanges to a complex symphony of interstellar dialogue. The command center, once tense with uncertainty, now thrummed with a cautious optimism. "Commander, we've established a basic linguistic framework with their network. They're from a coalition of species, explorers like us," Tyrese reported, his voice filled with a restrained excitement as he approached Jack with the latest data. "Explorers," Jack mused, his gaze fixed on the blue orb of Earth, a silent sentinel in the vastness of space. "What do they seek?" "Knowledge, Commander. They traverse the cosmos not to conquer but to understand and connect with other forms of life," Tyrese replied, handing Jack a tablet displaying a stream of communication logs and translation matrices. Jack scrolled through the data, each line a testament to the potential for a galactic community, his heart swelling with both pride and a profound sense of responsibility. "And their intentions towards Earth?" "They're cautious, naturally, but they're also hopeful. They see us as potential allies in the cosmic sea of consciousness," Therese explained, watching Jack's reaction closely. Jack turned from the viewport, his silhouette framed against the glow of Earth. "Prepare a broadcast. I want to speak to every member of the Global Defense Council and beyond. This isn't just a military matter, it's a new chapter in human history." As the crew prepared the broadcast, Jack's thoughts turned to the weight of his words. The station's air, usually stale and recycled, seemed today to crackle with the electricity of impending change. He could almost taste the metallic tang of revolution, not of war, but of understanding and connection. "Commander, we're ready to go live," Malik announced, adjusting the equipment to broadcast Earth's message far and wide. Jack stepped up to the camera, his posture commanding yet open, his voice ready to bridge worlds. "People of Earth and beings of the Galactic Coalition," he began, his tone resonant, carrying through the command center and beyond. "Today we stand at the threshold of a new era, an era not of silence filled with fear, but of silence that speaks louder than words. Silence that gave us the opportunity to listen, to learn from those who have traveled the stars before us." The screens around him displayed the faces of world leaders, of scientists and civilians, all listening intently, their expressions a mosaic of anticipation and awe. We were watched, not with malice, but with curiosity. And in our response, we have opened a dialogue that stretches across the stars, Jack continued, his eyes reflecting the starlight. We will not go silent into the history of the cosmos. Instead, we will write a new story, a story of unity, of exploration, and of mutual respect. The room fell silent as Jack concluded, his message hanging in the vastness of space. The command center, a beacon on the moon's surface, no longer felt like a lonely outpost but a gateway through which humanity would step into a larger cosmos, their voices united, their spirits undaunted. Earth goes silent, Jack whispered to himself as he turned back to the viewport, watching the sunrise over Earth. And the galaxy listens and embraces us as equals among the stars.